La novela de la que hoy vamos a hablar tiene en común con la anterior, Quién quiere ser millonario, en que parecen sacadas, o sea, son cuentos y más cuentos, historias que parecen sacados de las mil y una noche. Él va lanzando, o se va entrelazando las historias, ¿no? En el caso de Slumdog Millionaire, pues es este chico, un camarero, que se presenta a un concurso, lo gana, los productores del concurso no están dispuestos a que él gane, porque no habían previsto que con 12 preguntas se podría llevar 1.000 millones de rupias, y entonces lo detienen. El momento que ya le están pegando, porque por lo visto allí la policía tiene también la mano bastante suelta, en ese momento aparece una abogada que lo rescata, y entonces, para convencerla de ella de que es inocente, va contando fragmentos de su vida que le han dado pie a contestar las preguntas, ¿no? Entonces, no cronológicamente, pero vamos viendo pues la vida de este chico que se llama Rama Mahoma Thomas, y de su amigo Selim, que curiosamente también aparecen en este libro, que es Seis sospechosos. Seis sospechosos, en la contraportada se cita 2 veces a Agatha Christie, y él mismo nos cuenta que ha querido hacer, que se ha inspirado en Agatha Christie, pero que también ha querido hacer una parodia, ¿no? La historia es fantástica. Ya hablo desde el entusiasmo.
Now, Six Suspects was written by me immediately after, the success of Q&A, which became Slumdog Millionaire. And, when your first book, this was the first book I wrote, the only book I wrote, Q&A. It's now being translated into 43 languages. It became a radio play. It became an audio book. And then, of course, it became the film, which took the world by storm, winning 8 Oscars. And when that happens, the pressure on the second book is that much more, because when you write your first book, and I wrote this first book really in 2 months, in the last 2 months of my posting in London, and what was published was my first draft. But I think you can get lucky only once. So then the question was, what should I do for my second book? And my publishers were very keen that I should do the second book. They even dropped hints. They said, you perfected the character of Ram Muhammad Thomas in Q&A, so why not your second book can be another Q&A, and we trace the life history of Ram Muhammad Thomas, let's say from the age of 18 till the age of 25. And I rejected the idea, because I said, in that case, I would be repeating myself. And Q&A worked because it was a new story told in a fresh voice, in a new style. And if I'm going to write another story about the same character, it means I have only one story to tell. And I actually had 6 different stories to tell, and that's why I wrote Six Suspects. Now, in Six Suspects, the main thing I'm trying to do is to create a polyphonic narrative. A narrative in which there is no center of gravity, so to speak. When you have a novel in which you have a central character, then he is the center of the novel, and you follow his or her exploits right from the beginning till the end. But when you have 6 different characters, each of them speaking to you in their own different voice, then you don't have one center as such. So this was a much more complex book, but I thought it would be interesting to have a broad canvas, a canvas in which I cover really India from the north to the south, from the east to the west, and India in which I cover the rich and the famous, right down to those who are marginal and who are completely ignored, people like the Stone Age tribal islanders of the Andaman Islands, because we have these islands in the Bay of Bengal, and there are 6 tribes who live there, and they actually still hunt with bows and arrows. They live naked, they live in communion with nature, and I thought it would be interesting to see what happens when the Stone Age civilization clashes with modern civilization. So that was one of the strands of the novel. But the idea really was to flesh out these 6 characters, to give you 6 different impressions of India through these 6 different eyes. The issue was, how should I do it? Because how do you create 6 characters and ensure that you don't have 6 short stories or 6 novellas, but you have a novel? So the idea was, I had to have these characters, and yet there had to be something larger than the characters which links them together. And that's when I thought, why not have a murder and make these 6 people suspects in the murder investigation? So in my book, you have the anatomy of the murder providing the framework of the novel.